right, good afternoon, everyone. It looks like my mic is on and working. Welcome to our session, and thanks so much for joining us today. You should be at PRT236. We're doing a deep dive on IBM Software and SaaS solutions on AWS. My name is Bob Reitel. I work for our strategic partnership team, and I lead our global AWS partnership. Also with me today is Judah Bernstein, our Chief Technology Officer for our IBM AWS partnership. Judah leads our technology strategy, and we also have a special guest from AWS, Hemant Mohan, who will be here. He supports the IBM partnership and will be available for questions as well at the end of the session. So we are so excited to talk about IBM and AWS and our partnership. We have an incredibly deep and broad portfolio of products on AWS. Our intent today is to briefly talk about our IBM strategy and our AWS partnership, and then really get into our IBM software and SaaS portfolio that's available on AWS. We'll highlight some of our key offerings and some of our differentiated solutions and integrated capabilities with AWS through industry use cases, through reference architectures. And at the end of the session, we hope that you'll have a broad understanding of all of the capabilities and products that are available for AWS. And we'll hope that you'll find a couple areas that you can take away with you back to your organizations as you transform your businesses with cloud technologies. Time permitting, we will take some questions and answers at the end. If we do run a little short, we're also going to be available afterwards for anybody who wants to follow up with us. It's a little hard to see with the lights, but I actually want to get a little bit of audience survey so I get a feel for some of the audience today just before we jump into things. So, and if you're with IBM, I would consider you to probably raise your hand for this question, but I'd like to know how many of you are currently IBM customers or business partners? Okay, it looks like a pretty good handful, and there's some that aren't. So for those who aren't, thank you for spending some time with us today, and we hope that you'll be interested in following up with us further. I have one more question for you. Raise your hand and keep your hands raised if in your enterprise 25% of your more of your enterprise workloads are currently on the cloud. Okay, now keep your hands raised. Anybody want to keep their hands raised for 50%? 50% or higher. A few more went down. There's still a few more. Anybody 75% or higher? All right, we'll get back to this in a minute, but there's a huge opportunity for us, and that's where we hope our partnership can really make a difference for you as you do your transformations. All right, so we're going to jump into things, and let me just start by telling you a little bit about what our clients are expecting from us as a major software company, and what I think you're expecting from all of your software vendors. You are expecting, from what we hear, that we support AWS and the cloud platform of your choice. And certainly to deploy your software on AWS as one of your preferred cloud partners. But as you go through the stack, what our customers are telling us is that they want us to fully take advantage of our software and fully take advantage of your preferred cloud provider, in this case, AWS. So as we move to the right, we will demonstrate how IBM is not only able to deploy on AWS, but also integrate with AWS, build for AWS, and provide you with choices. So for customers who want fully managed as a service capabilities on AWS, provide that as well. So that's what we're hearing from our customers, and that's the journey that we are on with our AWS partnership. So let me take a step back, though, just to position our partnership in the context of IBM's hybrid cloud strategy. So when we surveyed our clients through the IBM Institute of Business Value, they are telling us that hybrid cloud offers them 2.5x value. And yet, we just did our little informal survey here. There's such an opportunity for more workloads to be moving to the cloud. And so what are some of the reasons? How could we make progress faster? How could we get to these benefits faster? We believe with our hybrid cloud strategy, having a common platform will drive acceleration. It will also reduce complexity. It will cut compliance costs. and it will allow your workers and your team's skills to be more flexible. So I'll briefly take you through our hybrid stack. At the very top layer, many of you will probably, as you're doing your modernization and your transformation in your organizations, be using some consulting organizations to help you through that. So whether it's IBM Consulting, in this case, we have over 15,000 AWS certifications and 14 competencies, or one of our many GSI partners in the AWS ecosystem. Many of those are also IBM technology partners as well. That's a key piece to help you on your journey. We are going to spend most of our time today on the IBM software portfolio, so I'll talk about that. We'll be talking about that throughout the rest of the session, but we cannot leave the session without spending a minute on Red Hat. We support our hybrid cloud vision through the Red Hat platform so that you could write once, deploy anywhere, have a common architecture, as we talked about earlier, to reduce that complexity and provide speed and drive acceleration. Red Hat OpenShift is key to that. I'm going to mention a little bit more about what we're doing with AWS, with a managed OpenShift offering on AWS, but also a common operating system like RHEL, automation with Ansible. So Red Hat is really foundational to our cloud strategy. And as you could see, AWS, we meet clients where they are, and so AWS is pivotal for our hybrid cloud strategy for clients who are here at reInvent and all over the world who have declared AWS as their preferred cloud. There's one other interesting thing on this chart that you may have picked up on. It's not an IBM-only chart. It's also an ecosystem of partners chart, and we'll be touching on this a little bit later as well. So if you don't use IBM Consulting or use other GSIs, or you're an ISV in the room and you want to plug into the IBM hybrid cloud platform to take advantage of the benefits that I just described, all of these capabilities are available to our ecosystem partners to provide to their clients as well. All right, so let me get a little bit more into our portfolio and briefly mention Red Hat OpenShift. So last year we announced Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS. That's ROSA. It's a first-party managed offering directly on the AWS console. And there are several benefits to ROSA, providing that container platform for our clients, again, to manage a hybrid cloud environment and have a consistent architecture. It's directly integrated with AWS in 170 AWS cloud native services it integrates with. It reduces operational complexity with enterprise class service agreements. Developers could rapidly develop and manage ROSA directly through the AWS console, and it provides a flexible consumption-based pricing model. So this is an offering that has seen really wide adoption since it was announced and available last year. It's a foundation for our IBM software, but also for a lot of enterprises as they move to hybrid cloud. So those are the foundational elements. Now we're really going to jump into software. So over the last year or two, we've really been building our software portfolio strategy with AWS. And all of our IBM software you could deploy on AWS, but we are on an evolution and a journey to do all those things that I talked about early on. So starting with the AWS Marketplace, we have over 50 listings on the AWS Marketplace, whether those be paid listings where you could buy our software on the Marketplace and draw down against your consumption contracts with AWS, or BYOLs if you already own the licenses but want to use the machine images. Everything is verified, certified by our amazing team at AWS so that you know it's going to integrate well with the AWS environment. Integration is also a key, and we're going to spend a lot of examples on integration. And then finally, we are making huge investments in the partnership. There's one I'm going to talk about in specific that we're extremely excited about, but we are investing joint resources. We're putting our lab teams together, go-to-market investments, really to help serve our clients. Again, the clients that have raised their hand and said we're IBM, and also raised their hand and said our target environment is AWS to help you be successful. We're doing this for all of our major software categories, whether they be IBM Security, data and AI, automation, sustainability, and we'll even talk about the mainframe later in our session today. So last thing, and then we're going to get into each of those brand areas. Last May, IBM and AWS signed a strategic collaboration agreement to bring IBM's portfolio of our top products as well as our strategic products that we're either acquiring through our acquisitions or developing to bring to market as a service on AWS. And so these are fully managed offerings on AWS, run and managed by IBM. We are taking advantage of cloud-native capabilities on AWS for our offerings, and we're bringing innovations. So we're investing, bringing our intellectual property, finding new ways to do things, to provide innovation to our clients, providing free trials so you could test out some of the capabilities, like one of our new SaaS products called API Connect, which you'll be hearing about. So during the course of this session, we're going to share with you what's available as a service on AWS today, what we announced this week at reInvent, and some of the things coming out early in 2023. So now we're going to jump into each of the areas, and we're going to start with data and AI. This is a big area. We've been talking about data and AI all week here at reInvent. Not a session goes by where we don't talk about it. There is some really promising statistics. IBM has a global AI adoption index, and in 2022, advanced AI adopters are attributing 10 to 12% revenue gains directly to AI. Forrester is saying that 74% of organizations are seeing a positive impact due to AI, and those are organizations of any size and in the industry. In the early days of AI, it was maybe a specific type of industry or a specific size of organization. Now it's ubiquitous across the board. And yet, despite this opportunity about what AI can present and how key data is, we still know that there's so many challenges with data. 68% of data is not analyzed. 82% of enterprises see data quality as a barrier in data integration products, and a staggering 82% of enterprises are inhibited by data silos. So IBM's mission in the data and AI space is to help our customers achieve solutions across industries through AI, machine learning, and data science. We have a great portfolio of products that's been recognized by all of the industry analysts as leading. And so now I'm going to have Judah come up and share a little bit about our data AI portfolio and how it works with our AWS partnership.
Thank you so much, Bob. Welcome to reInvent, everyone. Let's talk a little bit about the data and AI portfolio on AWS. So IBM Data and AI has 3 core categories to enable you to unlock the power of your data. How do we do this? At the top of our stack, we have what's referred to as data applications. These enable customers with developers without a significant amount of data science and machine learning practitioner experience to accelerate machine learning integration through AI services. Today, I'm excited to announce our beta for our software as a service for planning analytics. I'll talk in a few slides about what planning analytics can provide. In the middle of the stack, we have Data Fabric. This is an architecture with a portfolio of products that can enable you to drive integration of your data across disparate silos, including with native AWS integrations, as I will represent. It allows you to then provide the data cleansing that data stewards need and build end-to-end lifecycle management from development to production endpoints for machine learning. This allows you to build Jupyter notebooks and scale them. And we'll talk about how we natively integrate with Amazon SageMaker. And then finally, we have data stores and workloads. These are flagship offerings that many of you are familiar with in terms of databases, data warehouses, HPC, and specifically one thing that's really, really crucial, which is large machine learning model support for very, very industrial use cases. Let's talk a little bit about how you build your data foundation. So customers start by driving integration. So integration, to me, what this means is taking data that you have in AWS data sources, things such as Amazon Redshift within Columnar Data Warehouse, things such as Amazon's S3 with object storage, things such as Amazon Aurora, which is a relational database service, or for that matter, DynamoDB, which is a key value store. Now, those are in AWS, but the reality is customers have data everywhere. Hybrid cloud strategy is IBM's strategy, and unlocking that power allows us to drive data governance. This governance practice enables fine layer controls of your data, which then fundamentally brings all of that data across disparate silos together to provide insights, which is through machine learning. Data Fabric provides this on AWS with some of the capabilities that I represented, but across all clouds. But within AWS, we have native hookups to enable you to get the most of the value of better together. Let's talk about how we're expanding our Data Fabric strategy on AWS. So we've heard from customers that there's a large amount of innovation in AWS. Customers are looking to be able to enable integrations through ODBC connectors, to be able to connect to data sources that may be complex for us to build rapidly enough. So ODBC and JDBC connectors enable you to connect to various different managed services. And then we have the capacity to drive this down through really respective quality controls that mask data actually within REST, focused on specific use cases like a PII. This enables new security controls to be providing the required necessities based on the specific types of functions or business users you have in your organization. But we've heard from customers that they want the best of both worlds. They want Amazon SageMaker and IBM to work together. We have now plugged in within Watson Studio and IBM OpenScale a solution that does mitigation of machine learning bias by monitoring your inference in real time by connecting that into Amazon SageMaker as an endpoint. It also, within our Watson products, in our data and AI portfolio, we now have the capacity to enable you to migrate the Jupyter notebooks from SageMaker to Watson Studio, or to some extent from Watson Studio to SageMaker. And this enables you to be able to enhance the models across the hybrid cloud. Customers have also told us that one of the challenges that they face is as machine learning becomes so critical to their business, they need to automatically create machine learning models without a significant amount of data science experience at high touch. They have data scientists, but they need them to scale. Automatic models, or auto AI, is a capacity that AWS and IBM come together to enable into Amazon SageMaker. So IBM's auto AI product helps low-code accelerations of development of machine learning. Let's take a look at one reference architecture here. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Customers will start by going ahead and deploying Cloud Pak for Data, including products called data virtualization. And they'll ultimately be able to query data from all of these different sources and then build machine learning models through training, and then fundamentally drive inference through integration, being able to understand how their machine learning is accurate, predicting their inference and mitigating the bias. Illumina is a customer of ours who's leveraging Cloud Pak for Data on AWS to do this exact thing within sales planning and forecasting. The way that they're doing this specifically is bringing all of the data across various different business units in a 360-degree together. Let's take a look at IBM Planning Analytics. Customers are interested in driving financial forecasting and reporting. They're trying to understand how they could do so at scale across all of finance. But the challenge in finance, and my wife is an accountant, is that there's a large number of spreadsheets that are being used. It's very error-prone. Being able to drive a unified platform for planning and forecasting is IBM Planning Analytics strategy. And this enables now on AWS as a software as a service, now released in beta. Let's take a look specifically at IBM Automation. I'm going to hand it back to Bob to talk a bit about the impact of automation.
Great, thanks, Judah. Yeah, we will continue going on to our next topic. Judah talked a little bit about some of the challenges we're hearing from clients, and this is really a great place where automation comes in. A couple of the challenges that we're continually hearing right now are skill gaps and the ability to scale without just adding the same amount of cost as we scale. In fact, in one of the recent VentureBeat articles on automation, our general manager of automation said that there's going to be 2.4 million fewer workers entering the workforce this year. And again, according to Forrester, automation and AI use cases are surging, creating new organizational principles and presenting new opportunities for digital transformation. But also saying that enterprises must integrate automation and machine intelligence into an enterprise-wide automation strategy. So IBM is helping our clients achieve enterprise automation at scale through a hybrid cloud strategy, allowing them to build once and deploy any. So we'll now take you through this part of the portfolio.
Thanks so much, Bob. So I'm incredibly excited about our IBM Automation portfolio. They are incredibly transformative. They are enabling customers to modernize their infrastructure at incredible scale and the agility to do so. Let's talk a little bit about the portfolio. We have at the top of our stack integration capabilities. These capabilities enable you to accelerate application or API-based integration. We, earlier this year, launched our API Connect as a service solution. I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. We have solutions across the stack that drive integration. And today I'm excited to announce that applications can now be integrated next year when we come out next year with App Connect as a service. One of the things we've also heard from customers is that it's important for them to be able to deliver their applications where they need to sit. We see a huge amount of adoption month over month for Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS. Red Hat and OpenShift enable us to be able to deliver our architecture across clouds. But for some of our offerings, customers have also represented that there's a need for us to support them with AWS offerings. With WebSphere Liberty, an application server, we support the containerized version within Amazon ECS, and of course, ROSA. We also support the standalone version now with AWS Graviton 3 processors. This enables ARM64 support, so you can obtain the benefits that AWS represents as up to 40% price performance improvement. Business automation. Customers need to automate menial and critical business tasks. Watson Orchestrate is a solution that is critical to enable orchestration of HR events and capabilities to simplify a customer's life cycle as they're working through their really critical business and really menial business tasks. One of the new innovations that is really interesting is specifically within the insurance claims strategy is a new product that we launched and announced 3 weeks ago approximately with IBM Content Services as a service on AWS. This launched on the AWS Marketplace. What really excites me about this is that customers need to prioritize what type of content they review. With insurance, as an example, if you have a claims processor, they need to be able to rank what content that they review and how they assess through AI-driven insights whether or not somebody should be approved for a respective claim. We have a number of insurance and clients that are leveraging IBM Content Services on AWS. Finally, IT automation. We're seeing a huge amount of interesting integrations with AWS. But part of those integrations require improvements around your IT operations strategy. Within Instana, our application that focuses on improving your performance of your code, we provide an APM offering that enables you to be able to monitor Lambda code and understand how you could optimize that for improved CPU cycles so you could save money. It integrates with a broad set of AWS services, such as Amazon's Fargate, ECS, EKS, and a number of others. On the right-hand side of the quadrant there, on the bottom side of the stack, we have Turbonomic. Turbonomic allows you to automatically understand if your instance types are optimized for the premium performance that you require for your enterprise. In addition, it will automatically right-size it with AI models that get custom-built for you. Let's talk a bit about API Connect. API Connect is focused on helping customers put API management as a first-class citizen across a broad set of different types of APIs in AWS. You can create APIs with WebSocket, with GraphQL, with REST, and you could unify those APIs as a service with our new offering. Customers can take this offering, they could manage it at the full life cycle, They could secure these APIs with industry standard expectations for security. They could socialize, they could document, they could visualize, and then most importantly, they could monetize. Our integrations enable you to be able to monetize with Stripe. Customers could sign up for a free trial of this SaaS solution today by going to the link on the left bottom of this chart. And they have the ability to also sign up on the AWS Marketplace. There will be a detailed theater session later today. Here's an example of a reference architecture. And I want to highlight a specific unique integration because I'm very proud to announce that today we now have the capacity to integrate with AWS Lambda for now with the SaaS solution for you to be able to build serverless APIs with API Connect as a service on AWS. So while integrating with a load balancer allows you to be able to support a variety of different application types, now you could integrate directly with Lambda. I'm going to hand it back to Bob to talk about security.
All right, thanks, Judah. And yeah, on to our next topic, security. Cybersecurity is front page news that none of us want to be a part of. New threats are continuously emerging. I have some interesting insights that we had from our recent IBM Cost of Data Breach report in 2022. The average cost of a breach is now at an all-time high, $4.35 million per breach. 50% of the cost of a breach happens after the first year, so it's not just a one-time charge. 83% of the organizations that we studied in our report have had multiple data breaches throughout their organization lifetime. All of these incidents contribute to rising cost of goods or services. And in fact, in our study, 60% of organizations have raised their price of goods or services due to security breaches. And in an environment where we're dealing with inflation and supply chain issues, we don't need more issues to create more costs. And a good example of this was the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack in 2021. So let's take a look at our comprehensive security portfolio, what we're doing with AWS to help you get peace of mind on this topic.
Thanks, Bob. So IBM Security is here to help you make your cloud secure by design. We have a broad and incredibly deep portfolio with a very, very integrated connectivity into AWS services. Let's start by the most foundational component that most industry analysts represent around security in the cloud, and that's threat detection and response. That's being able to build managed security and packaging that in such a way that you have the ability to respond to a security event. We represent that as extended detection and response because that means that you're not just integrated within one specific cloud provider, but you have deep AWS, public cloud, private cloud, edge-based, and a broad set of ISV solutions that you need to monitor from. Data security and compliance. Customers have been struggling with the capacity to be able to understand how their data is secure, both in flight and at rest, through, as an example, by monitoring transactions that are taking place between your EKS applications in a container and Amazon Aurora. It gives you the capacity to be able to leverage visual understandings of how your data is secured. With data identity and access management, we provide an end-to-end portfolio supporting single sign-on and OpenID/OAuth 2 support with IBM Security Verify. And then with fraud detection and prevention, our intention is to mitigate account takeovers. This is actually a significant ramification to businesses because as customers have account takeovers or ransomware, this is incredibly risky for the breadth of their portfolio. So while AWS has a number of security practices, we have tooling to help support you. I want to start by talking a bit more deeply about the top of the stack. Let's talk about QRadar. QRadar, Security, Incident, and Event Management. This is an offering that enables you to hunt for threats. It starts by allowing you to collect these events and these incidents and these logs. It allows you to do so across a broad set of portfolio services within AWS, as I'll show in an architecture diagram. It enables you to build comprehensive insights Doing so specifically, not just through AWS Logs or CloudTrail or CloudWatch, but a broad set of new services that AWS releases. So as you start to adopt new capabilities, you need a provider to be there with you. Real-time security analytics is critical because you need to know when something happens and how to respond. And when you respond, you want to make sure you mitigate false positives. Because most of us know when we are working on security, we don't want to manage and we want to have these events prioritized for us. So customers could drive collection of that data through the through the QRadar event collector and drive that data respectively into QRadar SIEM. Now, let's talk about the integrations. Look at this chart. This gives you some breadth and depth of visibility just within AWS that we provide. This is incredibly differentiated in market. You can learn more about QRadars when you come to the event, to the IBM Expo, at the reInvent Expo later today. Let's talk about a customer reference. So ReliaQuest. ReliaQuest is a managed services provider that's building on top of QRadar. They're enabling customers to be able to get the security incident and event management solution, but also in a managed security center. This enables customers to also embrace adoption of AWS cloud services. And specifically, they're cross-industry to help you as a customer to leverage QRadar capabilities at scale as a partner. I want to hand it back to Bob to talk about sustainability on AWS.
Great, thanks, Judah. So another boardroom topic, and a topic that has been hot at reInvent this week, is sustainability. The International Energy Agency reported that the energy-related carbon dioxide emissions rose 6% in 2021 to their highest levels ever, 36.3 billion tons. And we all see the different reports on global warming and the warmest years of record in terms of weather. So sustainability is critical for company strategy to reduce negative environmental impact resulting from their operations in a particular market. We are going to talk about a couple of the key technologies driving and helping our clients with sustainability strategies. But let me also just add that in addition to the technology, leadership is critical on this. So for example, at IBM, we have a single-threaded owner for sustainability strategy and accountable for IBM's sustainable strategy. So we'll talk a little bit about two types of technologies that can help with sustainability. Our first is going to be asset management, and prolonging the life of an asset or parts, having fewer recalls, predictive or preventative maintenance are all keys to lower carbon emissions. In fact, our head of sustainability, our general manager, had a really great example of asset management with railroads. We looked at 4,500 de-icers, and using weather data and environmental intelligence, we were able to reduce operational use and cost and lower emissions 70% through that type of capability. So as we get into the first area of asset management, let's talk again about some of the challenges that our clients are facing in being impacted today. When it comes to asset management and the people that maintain our assets, there's 32% turnover, a very high retirement rate, 30%, compounded by escalating costs tied to hiring that has led to challenges with first-time fixed percentages. A lot of third-party technicians are being used. That also adds cost and can be expensive. So industries are needing to have new evolution and new operating models to address these challenges. The new model is resulting in a new industrial revolution, Industry 4.0. So as equipment is becoming smarter and more complex, but we're dealing with skills crisis, having technologies and tools to be able to help address this challenge is critical. So I'm now going to turn it over to Judah to talk about one of our flagship products available as a service on AWS, Maximo.
Thanks so much, Bob. So IBM Maximo Application Suite on AWS. This is a solution that enables you to achieve an incredible sophistication of predictive analytics within asset management. I want to talk about one specific use case, and then I'll go into an example. Specifically, visual inspection. Maximo Visual Inspection provides you the capacity to build computer vision-based machine learning models to assess if there are defects or anomalies. A good example of this is within automotive industry. We have a number of clients on AWS that are leveraging Maximo Visual Inspection on IBM MAS to identify defects as their vehicles are manufactured down the supply chain. Another example is our enterprise asset management at scale. When you think about the regulatory considerations, most large-scale industry organizations, especially within oil and gas and energy, they are distributed globally. They're international organizations. With Maximo Application Suite SaaS on AWS, we have multiple regions in AWS, enabling customers to be able to get what they need where they need it. This means that customers can deploy in different regions, including the United States and Europe, with support for Canada coming soon. I want to move on and talk a little bit about another interesting use case. When we think about specifically where we're going, one of the things that we're hearing from customers is how they could integrate their edge-based facilities, but also their edge-based devices. And so one of the key things that each of us knows when we're thinking about IoT use cases or edge-based use cases is there is a considerable amount of data that gets ingested that needs to be processed. Specifically, working with AWS, we've been able to build a reference architecture and a solution for our applications, enabling real-time ingestion into Amazon's managed streaming for Kafka, which is what we integrate as a part of now our Maximo Application Suite on AWS. This enables customers to be able to send real-time telemetry for it to be processed, such that we could support real-time use cases of that anomaly detection. Let's talk about retail. I have an interesting example of a customer within the food and restaurant business that is interested in leveraging Maximo to identify anomalies of food as customers order it. If you're in retail industry and you're providing food, you want to make sure that that food quality is expected, especially if you're going ahead and looking at a series of stills, identifying if there's pickles on it. When I said no pickles, it's going to make me mad. So this is incredible. Let's talk about the future of sustainability, and I'm going to hand it off to Bob to talk about that.
Great, thanks, Judah. If you do get time to get over to the Venetian and to the Expo, this is the one product I want you to take a look at, Invisi. We recently acquired Invisi. We're announcing that it's available as a service on AWS as well. So another area of sustainability is to address managing carbon emissions. And as your organizations are becoming, having sustainability initiatives and needing to demonstrate the value to your stakeholders, whether they be employees, government organizations, stockholders, shareholders, everybody else, you must demonstrate progress and have verifiable results. So Invisi is an as-a-service offering that can help you achieve this via emissions management, reporting, as well as data and analytics to drive decarbonization across your enterprise. Again, a recent IBM Institute of Business Value survey, the good news is 75% of enterprises are now targeting net zero emission goals as part of their long-term strategy. But this technology, as well as that people leadership within the organization, are going to be key for helping all of us achieve the common goals of sustainability across our organizations. So we're coming to the home stretch, and we're getting to our last area. We're kind of coming full circle now. We're going to talk about modernization. And so we talked about the hybrid cloud platform. We talked about how that enables standardization and complexity. And many of you said you're IBM clients already. Thank you. Many of you may also be mainframe clients. So when it comes to modernization, we're going to touch a little bit about the value of hybrid cloud with mainframe and AWS. So IBM recently announced the Z16 mainframe. And if you've been following IBM, our shareholder reports and our earnings the last 2 quarters, there's more MIPS in the world right now on the mainframe than at any time in history. So they continue to increase and continue to provide value. We're having record-breaking quarters. We view modernization not as an either-or proposition, not a mainframe or a cloud. We view the mainframe or the modernization of applications with the mainframe and the public cloud, bringing both capabilities together. And in fact, at the beginning, I talked about the value of the hybrid cloud platform and our customers saying it brings 2.5x. For clients that have mainframe, that value was even higher. So there's a lot of benefits to mainframe modernization, but the basic message here is fit for purpose. The mainframe has certain applications that provide you the security, the availability, the transaction throughput that we need to modernize, but also take advantage of the public cloud for the things that work well in our AWS environment. And we think that will bring faster value to you. It'll protect your investments, it'll lower your risk, and it'll enhance your modernization. Now, this is not easy to achieve. So what IBM and AWS have done together is we've created a series of hybrid patterns to help our clients achieve this balance and not just have to figure this out completely on our own. So I'm going to have Judah come up one more time to talk about the hybrid patterns we've developed with AWS for the mainframe and AWS.
Thanks so much, Bob. So, as Bob represented, being able to achieve modernization within your applications on AWS and in your Z infrastructure enables you to achieve new capabilities for your business. Specifically, when we think about what those capabilities can be, let's start by talking about the horizontal before we talk about the vertical. Customers want to build cloud-native APIs. They want to be able to share data in real time between ZOS applications and AWS. Customers have also shared an interest specifically that if they have the capacity to adopt new cloud-native languages, that would enable them to be able to use the best of both worlds. They're also representing that they want to leverage both storage in the cloud as well as storage within their Z or on-premises infrastructure. And finally, they want to achieve enterprise infrastructure as code or resources or applications as code. So just last week on Friday, I believe, we launched the IBM Z and Cloud Modernization Stack suite of products to support mainframe modernization jointly between IBM and AWS. This is new on the AWS Marketplace, available for purchase today. Customers could start by creating low-latency connectivity, specifically between ZOS on-premises, through a direct connection through to AWS and leverage AWS capabilities, such as API Gateway, to enable connectivity to build digital APIs. Customers can also develop and test applications on top of OpenShift on AWS and deploy them in a sandbox with WASI Sandbox. Customers could enable themselves through IDEs, integrated development environments, and tools that they are familiar with DevOps. Customers want to embrace continuous integration and deployment. We have worked now with AWS to integrate code pipeline from AWS, AWS's code build, AWS's code commit for you to embrace DevOps. But the reality is, as a programmer, one of the things that is very, very hard to achieve that we've now been able to do is enable customers not just to be able to embrace new languages, to deploy languages such as Python or Go or Node on the mainframe, but we've enabled them to identify how to refactor their legacy applications and do something very, very complex, which is deduce what the challenges are with their legacy dependencies. This is where developers struggle. They struggle to be able to understand how they modernize, as many of these dependencies no longer are maintained. Or, more importantly, they don't understand how they work. Customers could leverage WASI Analyze to rapidly analyze their applications to be able to understand the insights to refactor them, but they could also do so to extrapolate the insights for doing so with the dependencies. And then on the right side of the chart, customers have expressed something really interesting. They've said that orchestration of infrastructure as code and applications and resources as code requires a solution that enables them on premises as well as in the cloud on AWS. With Ansible, we've been able to do that with Red Hat. And now with the z/OS Cloud Broker, we enable customers to orchestrate resources with Ansible on AWS. So now customers could orchestrate z/OS resources in its infrastructure as code. I'm really, really excited about this offering, and you can learn more about it by coming to the IBM booth, where we have really deep technical demos with code to show you how to get this done. Here's an example of a reference architecture. This is pretty complex, but I want to talk about two specific use cases. One is around banking. For the most part, we see a tremendous amount of interest around transactional processing, specifically across a broad set of industries, but mostly, consistently with banks. Banks have a really, really strong presence in the mainframe. Customers can leverage open banking APIs, specifically on AWS, to digitally transform their banks. Customers are looking to be able to drive digital payments, digital checks. This enables a new channel, a new augmentation with IBM and AWS. I want to talk about one example of a customer in the United States. We have a United States American bank that is looking specifically to build new code and deploy that on the mainframe. They have developers that are utilizing AWS services. They have developers that are building on and testing on AWS. Working together with IBM Z and Cloud Modernization Stack, they're able to build on AWS and then deliver and deploy those solutions after they've developed and tested them in a sandbox on AWS and push them into production on the IBM Z mainframe, on their on-premises infrastructure. These customers now, specifically this bank, have now been able to digitally transform to enable digital banking at scale. And that is incredible because now they've opened new channels and new markets for their business. I want to hand it off to Bob in one moment, but I want to talk about the end of our portfolio on AWS, which ends with another aspect of modernization, which is within the software-defined storage category. Customers have represented that they need a consistent storage layer across cloud providers, but they still want to use the industry-leading cloud provider capabilities such as Amazon's S3 or EBS. And so what we've done is we've worked together with AWS to announce and release the Spectrum Scale solution that provides a global software-defined storage offer. And then finally, customers need disaster recovery, but they also need accelerated data migration, and we offer Virtualize. Next year, I'm excited to talk more about where our future is, specifically around IBM Storage. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Bob to share his closing thoughts.
Great, thanks, Judah. There's so many great things that we covered today and so many different topics. I love the Invisi for sustainability, but having the Zmod stack on AWS Marketplace to do some of the things that you just mentioned, if anybody's a mainframe customer, I'd love to talk to you afterwards to get your feedback on some of these things. But let me close with a couple of thoughts, and I do think we're going to have a few minutes for questions and answers as well. First of all, I mentioned up front how important our IBM ecosystem of partners is to our AWS hybrid cloud strategy. So let me just share a couple of things that our partners are enabled to do with our AWS partnership. If you're a client, you're working with a lot of our partners and in your AWS partners. A lot of them are common partners. And if you're a partner in the audience today, we encourage you to, again, get involved and be part of our strategy and our partnership. So first of all, if you're a channel partner or a reseller, you are able to resell all of the IBM software products via the AWS Marketplace on behalf of your clients. So if your clients have those AWS committed spend contracts, EDPs, you could help them with their burn down and acquiring IBM products. Global systems integrators and systems integrators, these technology architectures that Judah just shared with you are available for you as you do your digital transformations with your clients, whether you're focused on data and AI or automation or sustainability. All of these capabilities with IBM and AWS are available to you. If you're an ISV, we have an incredible embed program of libraries of software that we can make available to you and available on the AWS platform so that you as an ISV could enhance your solution. If you want to take advantage of some of our AI capabilities in your ISV solution, running it on AWS, we have that capability. I know that some partners do all three of these things at once, so these are the range of options for our ecosystem partners. And let me just close by just thanking everybody again for participating today. I would ask, as you're very busy at reInvent and you have time, we appreciate any time that you could spend with IBM. So we welcome you. We have detailed sessions on each of these topics at our booth, theater sessions. We have experts on all of the products we just talked about at our IBM booth over at the Venetian Expo. We are happy to meet with you to talk a little bit more about your specific environment, so feel free to schedule time to meet with us. We welcome you to navigate the AWS marketplace and learn more about our listings, take a look at some of the trials like API Connect, and we also have a developer website that Judah and our technology team have developed to help you really get into the details on some of the ways to build our architectures and develop solutions for your enterprise. Last but not least, we really appreciate your feedback, and so please take a minute to complete the survey. And our developer site, we have a QR code for you to take a look at.